Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the stars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And today we are back with episode 140 of Star Wars in a Galaxy. 140. This is our fourth episode of season 18 of Star Wars in a Galaxy. And that, of course, we're back with more Jedi Survivor. We are back with our fourth segment of Jedi Survivor, from the 2:15-minute mark, 2-hour 15-minute mark, to the 3-hour mark. Today we're going to be covering more of that first trip to Jeddah and the first trip to the Shattered Moon, which I'm very excited about. Both of them I'm very excited about. Yeah. Jacob, you got anything to say before we get into this little segment of Jedi Survivor?
Oh, it's a real fun segment. A lot to talk about.
In this segment of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Merrin and Cal journey across the desert to rendezvous with Seer at her base and what she's been doing. Along the way, a dust storm disrupts them slightly, but they seek refuge in a cave where they get to catch up on how things have been for both of them in the last few years. They manage to get to the hidden base that Seer is at to be greeted by Seer's former master, the very much alive Eno Cordova, who very recently gave up his search for the Zepho that he guided Cal through in the last game and decided to join his former apprentice at this base on Jeddah with the help of local Force worshippers called the Narcus Anchorites. Cal meets back up with Seer, who then very shortly reveals that she is working with a network called the Hidden Path, which traffics Force-sensitive children across the galaxy or anybody else who might be at risk from the Empire and gets them to safety. Bode and Grease meet up with the Mantis. Bode and Grease meet up with the Mantis in the base, and the crew is finally reunited, plus Bode, for the first time in a few years. Cordova inspects some technology Cal has scavenged from Koboh and points them to the direction of the Shattered Moon, which is a laboratory where Cal might find more information about how to reach the mystical planet of Tanalorr. Cal, on the Shattered Moon, Cal fights and defeats a lieutenant of the Bedlam Raiders named Drya Thorn, and gets their Crossguard, at which point he returns to Koboh yet again to figure out more technology-related stuff about not only the Koboh system, but the way to get through the Koboh Abyss and reach the mystical Tanalorr.
Yeah. Very exciting segment. A lot happens.
Yeah. This is we're firmly in Act 1 now. We're getting to near the end of Act 1 of this now. Yeah, we got introduced to Merrin last time on the episode with myself and a good friend of the show, Connor Chiquiti, but this Merrin's the big thing, and then of course also the reintroduction of both Seer and Cordova.
Yeah.
The
reunion.
What a reunion. But yeah, let's first get to Merrin, who, Connor and I talked about a little bit about this last episode, but just generally speaking, I'm really glad they introduced her in this game as early as they did.
Yeah, she is a delightful character. Super, super cool, super interesting. Definitely one of my favorites. I think the story does such a good job of kind of, at this stage of the game, showing why she and Cal make such an awesome team with everything out in the sandstorm as an introduction to, hey, these guys work pretty well together. Take note. And yeah, I really like her in this game. And I think that we get a slightly different version of her. And it's cool to see the way that she and Cal both have changed and matured over the years between Fallen Order and now.
Yeah, we definitely have. I do love, you talk about how both of them have matured, and it's funny to me that, because you're right, both of them have matured, but one of them I feel like has done a lot more maturing than the other one.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know what it is, but this game, Marin just seems to have it all together. Like, way more than Cal does. There's a part of Cal that's still that lost little boy after the purge, not knowing what to do. Marin's got it, man. She's completely confident, in control of her powers, which probably are harder to control than Cal's, although I don't know. But
yeah, that's a good question. But yeah, you're right. I think again we're seeing it from Cal's perspective, so it's
that's
hard to
true.
know, and clearly she does have her own baggage, but you're right. Like we just see her come out and immediately she's just in god mode. She's got, like, in terms of the fighting, in terms of her Night Sister magic powers, what she's doing, it's just on another level, and you're like, wow, wait, he's making quick work of all these stormtroopers. This is insane from where we left off. And then we see Marin, and we're like,
Yeah.
and we know already.
If Cal got a big upgrade from where he was last game, Marin somehow got a bigger upgrade.
I feel like we already knew Marin and what she's about, and like how off the wall insanely powerful she is. But in this game, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable watching her just carve through the stormtroopers. Just a fanboy over that for a moment.
Yeah.
But as you said as well, as a person, like, you are right. At least from the outside, she does seem very like Cal, more self-assured, much more even-keeled, but more so than Cal.
Yeah, she definitely seems there is a push and pull with Cal between there is a certain conflict with him within him throughout this game, and the push and pull, and there really doesn't seem to be with Marin. And I'm not criticizing that. I actually love that. I think that one of the things that about in future episodes, I'm sure we will talk about this, Cal and Marin, not only as friends, but as a couple when we get to that. And one of the things I think they really do well is balance each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Where we will see that Cal is seconds away from making decisions that he himself will regret. But Marin steps in and says, no, you shouldn't do that. Come on, remember your teachings. Remember everything you taught me. And he won't do it. Several times in this game. I was thinking of a specific moment at the end with Denvik, but I think that she is very much a tether to the real world to him.
Yeah.
And I think that he does. I'm not saying that it's all on one side. I do think it's like a symbiotic. I think they both gain something from the other. I think that I think that Cal is very like I think that Marin is a great person and a great fighter and a great leader without direction. I think one of the things that Cal gives her is Cal figures out what he wants very quickly and goes for it.
Yeah. He has
Marin.
Yeah.
And Marin,
if nothing else, he has purpose.
Yeah, he has purpose and he has direction, which Marin, I think, due to no fault of her own inherently, but just because she was mostly on Dathomir for all of those years, wallowing in her incredibly justified sadness.
Yeah.
I don't think she has that as built into her.
Yeah, that's one of the differences between the Night Sisters and the Jedi. Is the Jedi, they have the Jedi Code, they have this kind of mission that they make for themselves about helping other people, about peace and justice and what have you in the galaxy. We don't know as much about the Night Sisters, and I guess what their mission statement, you could say, is, what their reason for existing and being who they are and doing what they do. We don't really know what that is, but we do know to a certain extent that it's not the same thing as the Jedi. They're very tied to Dathomir as a place in a way that the Jedi aren't with any given place, and it seems just existing. They're not necessarily doing what the Jedi do.
Are very much a passive force in the galaxy. Like they don't really come out.
They're just minding their own. They're like minding their own business and chilling most of the time.
Yeah,
and there are times when they get hired as assassins and whatnot. But they're more of like just a civilization. Like
Yeah,
they're not like
who
an
happen to have
organization
these powers.
with a mission statement like the Jedi do. And I think what I'm trying to get at is that but she doesn't necessarily have, when she's out in the galaxy, disconnected from her family, from her home, from what she knew. In the same way that Cal is, she's not necessarily equipped mentally, philosophically. She's not necessarily equipped to say to herself, I have a mission. This is what I need to do. This is the fight. Clearly, she feels that to some extent, but not in the same way that, through no fault of her own necessarily. Like the Night Sisters are just very different from the Jedi in that regard. But she also, and Cal brings that to her to some extent. She acknowledges that as much, but at the same time, she brings the benefits of the Night Sisters to Cal as well. Where to Cal, all there is the fight. And what does Marin say? She says, they're in the cave, and she talks about the fire. She uses the fire.
We'll get to the fire. I want to get to the fire later.
Yeah. But my point is just that that's the Night Sister way, which is that you don't have to have you don't have to justify your existence by constantly having a cause. Like it's okay also to live.
Yes.
And be who you are. But anyways.
But I'll just say there is so many great ones. When she describes, my favorite thing is when she describes seeing the galaxy. When she says, "Amazing, the sinking city of Kuratau, the Persei cliffs. This galaxy suffers, but there is still beauty." First of all, when are we going to see these fucking things in canon? Because I want to see the sinking city of Kuratau and the Persei cliffs. Those sound awesome.
Those do sound awesome. Yeah, I agree. Sound like that's full of fun.
Yeah, but it's and frankly, I can't think of anybody better to explore those things than Cal fucking Kestis. That kind of seems to be what this game is about. Yeah, but Marin has this realization that is important, and I think is being emphasized more in Star Wars, I'd say, in the last few years, and I'm really glad it is. Which is, it's not enough to just fight. You have to remember what you're fighting for. And the simplest way of describing it, Marin and Cal and their rebel movements and other rebel cells and other resistance movements are fighting for freedom. That's what they're fighting for. And it can be so easy, and I think especially for Cal in this game, to get caught up in the fight that you begin to lose yourself in it. Now, there can be dangerous versions of that, but there can be non-dangerous, but still troubling versions of that.
I do know what you mean.
I don't think that Cal is in any danger of what he's doing, but I do think he's missing out on a lot. And this is what he's missing out on. I'm not saying that sometimes you need to go Cal's route, which is just batter, keep going after your goals, going after them, relentlessly.
Never stop the fight.
Yeah. But Marin's, I'm just going to explore, maybe beat up some fascists along the way.
Yeah. And
I think that's quite a bit more sustainable.
Yeah. It's also very unusual for Star Wars. That's something that I realized is those moments when you hear the heroes of Star Wars, especially the main characters, especially even just hearing them talk about enjoying the galaxy as a place rather than fighting for something. It's very unusual. And it occurred to me as I was watching that scene, hearing Marin talk about that. Wait, this is so unusual. That in and of itself is striking.
Yeah,
these moments are so fleeting, and that in and of itself is something.
Marin's got something here. I'll just say that Marin's got something here.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Also, it's revealed, and I talked about this last episode with Connor as well, but we get a lot of expanded lore on Jeddah, which I really appreciate.
Oh, yeah. It's super cool.
I find it extremely ironic that we get a planet called Jeddah, literally 2 letters away from Jedi, and a sound and a phonetic sound away from Jedi. And yet, the most Force-sensitive character we get on Jeddah in Rogue One is Chirrut. Really? But this this look at Jedi is far more interesting, and I like it. I described it last week with Connor as the sort of mecca for believers in the Force. Not
Jeddah literally is a city near Mecca. Yeah.
I did not know that, yeah. But yeah, no, but yeah, it's, and I'm not just saying about like, for followers of the Jedi or something like that. Like, people like the Church of the Force who believe in the Force spiritually. I know Lor Santeca was one sort of believer. And anyone who followed the Force religiously in any way, there was a in Phase 2 of the High Republic called, what was it called? It was like the Convocation of the Force, something like that. It was basically a Force convention on Jeddah, which was Convocation of the Force. Yeah, the Convocation. This was in Phase 2 of the High Republic. It was about 300 years before this. A bit more. It was around 400 years before this. But the point is, unfortunately, some of the members of the Path of the Open Hand, which was a cult that believed that the Force should not be used. The Force shall be free, is what they said. Kind of just disrupted it all and started like a huge battle there, which got messy. But the point is that we have these. I love the in-universe mythologies in Star Wars. What people believe about the Force, and we have a lot of that here, which is, I think, really cool.
Yeah, I think on a lore level, like you said, I completely agree. I think it's so intriguing to see a vision of the Jedi here where they're religious figures to others. We have the psychometry flashbacks of the pilgrims, or one of them says, "May the Jedi watch over us." It's not just the Jedi off doing their own things, this shadowy organization that a lot of people don't really know about the way that it is in, say, the Clone Wars. And I really enjoyed just pondering. There was a time, and there are times and places where what it means to be a Jedi, specifically in relationship to non-Force users, is radically different than what we get in most of Star Wars. And I think that's also a subtle hint to us as the audience and to Cal, given what Cal's kind of story and the questions for him is, hey, here's another way to look at what it means to be a Jedi. There are ways that you can help others and uphold the Jedi Order and your values without being a warrior. There's other options. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah. Connor and I were talking about this last time. One of his favorite quotes in Fallen Order is Cal saying, having a lightsaber doesn't make you a Jedi, which I think it is very much like a lesson of that first game. I almost think that this game's message is the converse of that. Being a Jedi does not mean having a lightsaber.
Yeah.
The Jedi are a lot more than that, and embodying the ideals of the Jedi is not just swinging your laser sword around. Although he does tend to do that a lot in this game. But then they run into that dust storm. Wait, actually, before they run into the dust storm, Jacob, I know you want to talk about it.
There's a certain tall, lanky, black.
I never paid this a second thought. I never paid this a second thought until Jacob brought it up, and then I realized how incredibly funny this.
How could you not? How could you not, bro? Hey, Cal, it's going to take a really long time if we ride there on foot. You're right, Marin. Let's go get one of those big sand creatures over there. What are they called? Oh, Cal, they're called spamels. It's just it's so hilarious. I'm not trying to dig at the game or anything for like, oh, it just sounds too much like camel. No, like I think it's hilarious, but I just get so hung up on it because just why? We know this game has a sense of humor, but Spamel? What? Every time I hear it, I can't believe my ears. I'm okay. You know what?
This game did not invent it.
Really?
No.
Oh.
This game did not invent it. This is, I think, the first one to mention it in a canon source, like to call it by name in a canon source. But let's be clear, this game did not invent it.
Okay, so who invented the Spamel? I need to know.
Well, where's the first time we see Jedi?
Is it Rogue One in canon?
Yeah,
Were they in Rogue One though?
they were.
We didn't know they were called Spamels though.
We did not know.
Oh, God.
But apparently, I'm looking on Wikipedia right now. During ILM's visual effect review for Rogue One, the creature was nicknamed Space Camels as a placeholder name, which was later jokingly shortened to Spamels. The shortened nickname was later adopted as the official name for the beast in every creature in the Star Wars movies, an installment of the Star Wars by the Numbers web series created for StarWarsKids.com and released on May 31st, 2019. So from a VFX review to a kids video on YouTube to in books and comics, just to books and short stories, because they were mentioned in the High Republic book Cataclysm.
Okay.
To eventually being mentioned several times and shown in Jedi Survivor. That's the history of the Spamel. Which, honestly, is funnier this way.
Yeah, they were just like, no, we didn't think that this was a good name. We just didn't bother. We just didn't bother to give it another name. Like that
honestly, though, that is. I don't care what anybody else says. That is maybe some of the most George thinking of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna call this a Spamel.
Yeah, it's delightful.
What's the mythological meaning behind that one, George? Oh, nothing. It was a shortened space camel. That's what it was.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it.
Like the same energy as George pointing at Simon Cassianide's Mandalorian character on the set of Mandalorian season 2 and going, yeah, that's X-Wolves.
Yeah.
and again, we haven't seen the footage, but I'm 99% sure it's like, yeah, that's X-Wolves. What do you mean, George? What do you mean that's X-Wolves? I see that guy's name is X-Wolves. Any particular reason on that one, George? No, that guy's name is X-Wolves. Okay, I guess that guy's name is X-Wolves. Beautiful. But yeah, then we get to the dust storm sequence, which I don't know about you. There are a few sequences in this game. There are a few random action sequences in this game. There's one here, and there's another one on Koboh later that just feel unnecessary. Like they feel like they happen because they have to happen to break stuff up.
Yeah, this is a video game.
Yeah, but like
people want to do video game things. But yeah,
but like, we were like the pace of the story was going pretty well until this kind of happened, and it was like, did we really need to like we have that great conversation between them in the cave, but we could have had that elsewhere as well.
Yeah, we could have,
and it felt like a weird distraction sort of thing, but it wasn't crazy. I didn't hate it or anything.
I don't know. I felt like that action sequence with the walker and the sandstorm, I feel like it served. I felt like it served to reinforce to us and reintroduce in this game the audience to, hey, Cal and Marin, when they team up, like they really work well together. They take care of business. Like they.
I understand that, but I feel like we already got that. I feel like we already got that with the previous sequences of them fighting their way through stormtroopers. I wasn't convinced that we needed that more.
I felt like it felt like the fighting their way through the stormtroopers, it felt so routine that it didn't feel like a challenge. Like this part to me, I was like, okay, now they're going up against something unexpected, sandstorm, walker, something a little bit different. Now we can kind of see they're thrown off their game. Let's see what they do.
Yeah.
And that kind of solidified to me like, oh, okay, like they.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can definitely
to me,
understand
I feel like that's the reason that I think that that felt like the reason that they put it in.
Yeah. But I want to get back to, you and I were both you were talking about this, and then I urged you to stop because I wanted to save this for its own segment. Let's talk about the conversation about the fire.
The best part of this episode, best part of this sequence, in my opinion. Absolutely.
It's one of the highlights. I'm not sure it's my favorite, but that's not to say it's bad, because it is far from it. It's fantastic. Look into the fire. It will warm you, keep you company on dark, lonesome nights, yes, but left unchecked, it will consume everything in its path.
Yeah.
Until there is only ash. Which is just a gorgeous thematic statement, another thesis statement for this game. As for me, it's a metaphor for power.
Yeah. I feel like it's explain, actually. I thought something very different. So I'm curious to hear what you thought about that and why.
Just how, as do many people, Cal has this power inside of him. For him, it manifests in his blinding power in the Force and his skill with a lightsaber and blaster. And he has a lot of, and of course, because that power is guided so much by emotion, he has a lot of anger, he has a lot of determination, he has a lot of hope, he has a lot of all these different emotions that we may associate with one side of the Force or the other. But at the end of the day, the question is not about the fire itself. It's about what it'll do. Properly channeled and properly focused, that fire can be a powerful weapon for a powerful tool and weapon for the light side of the Force and the rebellion as it wages its war against the Galactic Empire.
Yeah, definitely.
But left unchecked, it will not just destroy Cal, it'll destroy everyone and everything around him.
Yeah, I think, to me, I saw this as... I saw this as not necessarily the power, but the fight and the commitment, the overriding, world-consuming commitment to the fight. And Cal just refers to it as the fight. That is, the fire. It'll keep you warm on dark, lonesome nights when you have no one else, like Cal did for so long. Before and after Jedi Fallen Order, when you have no one else, I guess really after, because that's when he starts. Yeah, after that, for those 5 years, Cal doesn't really have his family, but he has direction, and he stays sane, and he stays safe, and he feels like he's doing something, and he finds meaning for himself and significance because of the fight. But I think that she cautions him because she can see where that path might lead him. Because look at someone like Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
When the fight is all that there is, then you have a problem in another way. Because if you're not fighting for anything, you're not going to be worried about being ethical and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can end up doing more harm than good. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic, it's a great theme statement, but it's also very foreboding for Cal, seeing as how his internal fire manifests during this game, for good, and maybe for not so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, there are so many hints, honestly. We won't get to the kiss in this one. I believe I've been watching ahead for a lot of these. I believe that will be not the beginning of next episode, but the beginning of the episode after that. Our 6th part is like the kiss is, I think, right at the 3-hour mark or the 4-hour mark.
Yeah,
I'm forgetting. Either way, that the point is we're not going to be getting to it for a while, but the clues are there. Her putting her head on his shoulder. That was in a moment here where I'm like, I cannot believe I didn't see this earlier. It's the way that they need each other that is so poignant to me. And Star Wars very much, it's funny that I'm using this term, but Star Wars very much flirts with romance a lot. It doesn't go all in a ton. Obviously Leia and Han, obviously things say. Obviously Leia and Han, obviously Padme and Anakin, obviously Kanan and Hera, a little bit with Rey and Ben, though that was understated. But Cal and Merrin is the first modern relationship I feel like in Star Wars we've had. Cinta and Vel in Andor, you could argue as well. I'm trying to think. Han and Kira in Solo, but is one of the first like big story-consuming modern romances that we've had in Star Wars.
Yeah.
In the visual media, Iden and Dell maybe, but like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I very much enjoy the way that it unfolds because it doesn't feel stilted. It also doesn't feel forced. It makes sense for these characters. They've bonded so much. They've gone through so much. I like how they hint at it. I can't remember. I don't think I brought this up, but previously, in the very beginning, when Cal meets, or at the very beginning of when Cal and Grease get back together, Grease says, "Hey, you talked to the crazy witch lady lately?" And he says, "Oh no, man, I haven't talked to." Oh my god, I'm blinking. I haven't talked to Merrin. Yeah, I haven't talked to Merrin in ages. And he goes, "Oh, I wasn't talking about Merrin. I was talking about the old master." And he goes, "Oh," and I thought to myself, with the benefit of hindsight, I thought, "Oh man, I like how it doesn't just drop it on us. There's a little bit of build up, like the moment on the Spamel when she wraps her arms around him, he looks back and is like, whoa." Like it's well done. It's well done. They integrate it well, especially for a video game. I think
it's
that's
incredibly
not
well
always
done.
easy to do. That's not always easy to do, especially in Star Wars. The track record sometimes it's not terrible.
Yeah,
I don't like sand. Sometimes better than others.
As we get into our next part, I think I gotta talk about Jedi Master Cordova, who I did not think was alive before this. I remember when we found this out, and I believe this was, good friend of the show, when I told him about this. Good friend of the show, Alden Diaz, I remember texting me, and he was like, "Did we think he was dead?" And I was like, there was never anything directly stated that he was dead. But being as the Jedi kind of were genocided sort of thing, it seemed more likely than not. And I'm so glad the not was true. I know that there are some people who think that his role is not very important in this game, and I could not disagree more. I really like him as a source of wisdom for Cal and as a source of, look, Cal, he says to Cal very early. I think there is a part of this game which is Cal realizing that just because he hasn't been achieving the kind of results he's wanted to, doesn't mean he hasn't been achieving results.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that sort of self-actualization of sorts. The idea of like when Cordova says, "Yeah, basically, look, man, I didn't know how that whole Zepho thing was gonna pan out with the holocron and all that stuff on Bogano and all that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't know how to do how that any of that was going to do it, but you succeeded like far more than I ever thought anybody ever would." And in that moment, basically, Cordova is the proud grandfather in this game. I feel like seeing that his grandson is up to whatever he wanted to do, but he didn't think he was going to be that good. I thought you were going to meet my expectations. You far surpassed them. I will say one part of this, the one sequence of this that I find, the one exchange that I find a little annoying about this one is, "Master Cordova, did you find the Zepho? Only faint traces of their passage heading deep into the unknown regions." Wait, hold on, Cordova. What the fuck was the point of the entire last game, Master Cordova?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Side note. Petty. But speaking of things that Cordova says, oh god, where is it? "That failure led me to seek out other Jedi survivors." Oh, Cordova said the line this time. Roll credits, everyone. It's over. Everyone go home. Everyone go home.
I actually wrote that down too, and I said looks directly into camera.
Yeah, it's like we're all Jedi survivors.
No, there was another
so
one
funny
later
when they do that. I love it.
Where there's another one where they say, where Cal says, "So helping hunt people hunted by the Empire, like Jedi survivors. And I just wrote looks directly into camera. It's always fun when they do that. But yeah, Cordova escorts Cal and Marin into the base, where we find out that Seer's working with the Hidden Path.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic revelation that I wish they did more with.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that this was being developed probably as stuff like Obi-Wan Kenobi was being developed, so I understand it would have been tricky. But Rogan?
Yeah, I think it
mean,
makes
or
sense
like,
to have it a little bit to have it insulated from some of the other
Yeah.
stories.
I'm just saying, like,
for
the Hidden
continuity's
Path.
sake.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the Hidden
It
Path
would be
leads us
cool. It would be
to
cool.
so
yes.
many interesting like people like Rogan or Quinlan or somebody like frankly get weird with it.
I don't know. I didn't miss it though.
Introduce Jar. I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
Go full rebuild the galaxy. Darth Jar.
Not Darth Jar Jar. Just Jar Jar helping the Hidden Path.
I don't know. I didn't miss Broken. I didn't miss any of what you suggest. Although it would be cool. I feel like it's to the game, to the story's credit, to the game's credit. I feel like I didn't miss that. Like I feel like it still felt it. The entire setup felt complete and felt full as was. To be honest.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I'm just thinking, or I'm trying to
It would
think
be
of like
cool.
other ones, but yeah. But I am glad that they're a part of the Hidden Path so that we can link it up very directly with Obi-Wan Kenobi, which we don't technically know, I don't think, which one takes place first, Obi-Wan Kenobi or Jedi Survivor, but I believe there's something that causes me to think specifically that Survivor takes place after Kenobi, but I don't remember what it is. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Because the only metric we have, and this is really no help, is Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's Darth Vader who appears in both games, but even that doesn't really do anything for us because Vader doesn't mention either Cal and Obi-Wan or Obi-Wan in Survivor. I'm trying to... Oh, according to the timeline on the Star Wars website, Survivor takes place after Kenobi. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It feels wrong somehow, though. In my mind, I feel like Kenobi has to come after, even though like, logically it makes sense. But on an emotional level, just the fact that this came first, I'm just like,
for me, actually, I'm completely the opposite. I feel like Survivor has to come after, and this is the only reason why. This is actually the reason why. It's because, don't get me wrong, Seer is an incredible Jedi Master and incredibly strong with the Force and skilled with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
But Darth Vader is Darth Vader. And I'm not saying it would not make sense that Seer would last that long against Darth Vader normally. I'm not saying that. I will say it makes a little bit more sense of her lasting that long against Vader if Vader's still trying to recover from, oh shit, Obi-Wan's alive, and he fucked me up real good, both physically and mentally. Like, that I think it works a little bit better to me for Vader to be in less good shape, and so that's why it takes a little while for him to really get to Seer. Fucks him up. And she had the advantage for quite a bit of that fight, which, as powerful as I think she is, just I don't think I'm not certain would happen even like a few months earlier if Obi-Wan Kenobi took a place a few months earlier.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. It's tricky though. Anything in the same year is tricky because
I don't know. I've always had the belief that on some level, just because of the philosophy of the Jedi and the philosophy of the Sith and just the way that they operate, that even if the playing field is level in terms of, okay, this is how good Seer is, this is how good Vader is, or whoever, this is why I think that it's just more difficult for a Jedi to definitively win in a fight because of how the Sith operate in terms of tapping into rage, anger, hatred, things like that, versus how the Jedi use
Yeah,
their restraint.
I
You know what I mean?
I
Like I feel
yes, I
like
understand.
all other things being equal, I feel like the Sith usually wins because of that.
Yeah, I understand that. What was I gonna say? Yeah, but that's a little tangent there about when the hell
So I
this
feel like
takes
that
place.
could to that is to say
But
that could
also
be a
the other
reason
thing,
for Seer doing what she does in that fight.
yeah.
Is that
Also,
Vader simply has a greater will, not will to win, but will to destroy the enemy. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh, and
It's
here's the
just
other
hard to
reason
match
why.
that.
Here's the other reason why. When Obi-Wan and Roken and Tala are examining Fortress Inquisitorius
Yeah.
in the beginning of Part 4. Do you remember what Roken says?
No.
Nobody's ever gotten out of there before. Which we know to be not true, actually. Because who once escaped Fortress Inquisitorius? Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he necessarily would have told Roken about that, but it seems weird that Cal and Obi-Wan, if it did happen before, that Cal would never have crossed paths with Obi-Wan when he was being helped by the path. That seems a little strange, but whatever. It makes a bit more sense if it's after, to me, but whatever, yeah. But yeah, then Cal sees how Seer and Cordova and the path are helping people. And this is, I think it's the moment of a great revelation for Cal. You know, there are other ways of saving the galaxy that are not fighting all the time. He went back, as as Han says in Force Awakens, he went back to the only thing he was ever good at. But just because he did that doesn't mean it was the only option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have I was just gonna ask if you have any other thoughts about the stuff from meeting Cordova to meeting Seer or anything like that.
Not really. I loved I thought Cal and Seer's reunion was really interesting in contrast to him and Grease, him and Marin. There's more tension. It's a little bit more fraught. It's not necessarily as easy and simple, which I like that the story went there and didn't necessarily take not the easy way out, but didn't necessarily make it easy for these characters. I love seeing Grease come back as well. The whole gang, everyone.
Everyone
But
all
yeah,
together.
I don't really have too much to say about that part.
Then let's get to the beginning of the Shattered Moon, or the first trip to Shattered Moon, which is very short. But first, before we get to the Shattered Moon, actually, we can talk about both of these kind of in the same, because they both happen. And I forgot they both happen in the same 10 minutes of gameplay, basically. Let's talk about these new stances.
Yeah.
Jedi Survivor officially introduces 2 new stances into the game. No, I'm not counting the double sabers because that was technically a special move in Fallen Order. They just made it into a dedicated stance at this game. But we have first one I want to discuss is the first one that comes first, which is Bode gives Cal a blaster, which I want to see what model the blaster is. It's a cool blaster. And of course you can customize it as well. Yeah, it's the LW896. Got it. It's the LW896. That's the model of the blaster it is. It's the LW896. It's a damn good blaster pistol. It's really fun. I feel like using in the game, and I know that a lot of people feel like it's gimmicky, and I understand that, but I love playing with the blaster. I think it's one of those things where you know, obviously having a lightsaber, you don't have a lot of long range options. So to be able to cover both short and long range at once is quite rare.
Yeah, I think it's fun just to have that flexibility
Yeah, it is.
in the
And
game
I
as well.
yeah. And just having a lightsaber in one hand, a blaster in the other hand, like it just feels good. That's just it just feels good to have. But do you want to go to the Shattered Moon first, or do you want to talk about the second stance first?
We can talk about the second stance since we're on the topic of stances. Why not?
Crossguard. He gets from the Bedlam Raider Triathorn.
Maybe the coolest stance possibly, in my opinion.
I
in the
actually think
game.
I like the blaster stance a bit more, but I understand why Crossguard gets a lot of love. It's really cool to see Cal with the Crossguard, the stance, the type modified lightsaber that has become very well known in the overall Star Wars fandom, of course, from its use by Kylo Ren, and in the High Republic fandom, known from its use by Stellan Geos. I think it's an interesting dynamic that they decided, okay, so this is going to be basically a broadsword.
Yeah. Just
That
big swing, big slow swing.
big, slow, powerful swings is what it is. Big, slow, powerful swings, which I think it creates an interesting dynamic. I think one of the things that I remember reading a lot when I was trying to get through Survivor for one of the first times is that the best place to use the Crossguard is in lightsaber duels or in any sort of boss fight. And I generally agree with that. The Crossguard I don't think is actually great. Like when you're fighting stormtroopers and stuff like that, or Bedlam Raiders, or like any normal enemies, I actually don't think it's super great. I like crowd control. I would go with double blade or dual blades or blaster combo.
Yeah.
But for individual high health enemies, I don't think you can go wrong with Crossguard.
I just think it's fun that there's so many different kind of ways to play the game. Or ways to do the fighting that the different stances provide. And that they actually feel different when you're playing.
Yeah.
Like they actually feel like a difference, which is cool.
I will say, and maybe this is just me, but I understand why, for balancing reasons, they don't want you to be able to use all 5 stances at the same time.
Yeah.
However, I do feel like the 2 stance swapping is a little limited. If I could make one gameplay adjustment to the game, I genuinely think it would be that I think I would have a cycle option for a third one. Still, you can't have all of them at a time, but I think if I could load up double blade, blaster, and crossguard, I think I would. All my problems would be solved. I think having those 3, I think having any 3 on a cycle option would be.
You think the extra flexibility would be nice?
It would be nice, and I think especially if they're going to continue this for the next game and potentially even introduce new saber types, which in Jedi 3, and I don't know what they're gonna do. We're recording. This is our last episode we're recording before the release of the Acolyte. I know it's going to be released far after the Acolyte, but starts releasing. But as of now, this is the day before the fan screenings of the Acolyte, which I'm very excited to be getting to go to the one in Los Angeles on the 3rd.
So exciting.
But I was just thinking, because of the Acolyte, now that we have Vernestra and her light whip in visual Star Wars media, I'm like, oh, that makes sense if for another potential variant for Cal.
Yeah, you'd have Cal with like a Chirrut Imwe type stick weapon as well, a staff, like a no lightsaber, a no lightsaber Cal,
or
if we're just thinking of new possibilities, yeah, Cal with a pike. What if you had Cal with a lightsaber pike?
Yeah.
What if you had to use like an electro staff? If we really want to think for the next game, like there are possibilities.
Or I'm trying to
you
like
know?
imagine the chaos of Cal, not quite Pong Krelling,
Oh
but like
god.
no,
Two saber
I said
staffs?
not. I'm saying a saber staff and a regular one.
What about like what about an Ahsoka style? Like
Oh, like a
or just a one backhand or a front hand backhand.
so you want
That would be
so,
Ahsoka
got
style.
it. So
Or Ahsoka style would
Cal
actually be
Star,
backhand front hand.
yeah, but just a backhand, just one backhand. So you want Cal Starkiller style.
Yeah, Starkiller style or Ahsoka style. There's options here. We
There are
want
definite options, and
the
you could do a lot of
Shoto,
fun things with that. Yeah,
it could be fun. But it's the stance switching is one of my favorite parts of this game. It's so much fun. It's
it's
so much
really
fun.
goddamn fun, and it's fun to experiment with
Yeah.
stuff. Surprisingly, I feel like there was a poll that came. There was like a something that came out. Let's see. There was a stat. There was a stat sheet that came out for Survivor. This was about a year ago, and overwhelmingly, people were not using apparently as much the new ones, the blaster and the crossguard stances. I'm like, why? Those are the best ones.
They feel a lot more I feel like they feel a lot more specialized. Like some of the
Yeah,
other
no,
ones you can use
absolutely.
them whenever. But Crossguard and Blaster requires a bit more intention. You have to play the game a little bit more differently than you do for the other ones. So I
Yeah,
understand why that might be the case.
yeah.
Also,
This
just
was
from a
as of
aesthetic
This was
standpoint, the classic lightsaber's nice.
it is. I understand that. What was I gonna say? So yeah, those are fun. The Shattered Moon is really cool. I like it as an aesthetic, especially because it very like that laboratory fast factory aesthetic for me reminds me a lot of the cool stuff that we get in the KOTOR games. I'm thinking like the facility on Terrace in KOTOR 1, especially
Yeah.
the mining facility orbiting Paragus at the beginning of KOTOR 2, which please none of my friends in the space clip this out of context, is a part of KOTOR 2 that I guess I actually like, but I think it's really, I think there's some really cool stuff on the Shattered Moon. I think there's some really cool platforming stuff on the Shattered Moon. The platforming in this game, I gotta say, even compared to last game, is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's just so much fun stuff with the Ascension Cable, with Marin's Charm, which we'll get next time or the time after. I forget exactly, but we'll get Marin's Charm soon, which will open up more possibilities with platforming, and then soon we'll get those fucking what do you call it? We'll get the dash soon, which will also open up more possibilities, and we'll get those fucking balloons, which will open up even more possibilities. So by the end of the game, the possibilities with platforming are like so much wider, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. There is just more bandwidth in this game, it
Yeah.
feels, compared to the last one. What else do
Uh,
you want to talk about now for this kind of last leg?
I'll say let's just tease. I think we'll tease a lot of what we're gonna be getting into next episode, which is about
Yeah.
which was we get introduced to that one segment of the game. I remember you and I like trying to figure this out for ourselves, tracing through this segment of where Cal has to to get the stuff, get the orbs to point the lasers to melt the Koboh matter to
Yeah.
fly up to certain parts at what is it called? The devastated settlement, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
Which is a cool part of the game, if a little bit overcomplicated, but that's what we're going to be getting a lot to next episode. But do you have anything else?
No, this was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you thinking about this segment as a whole?
As a whole, I really like it. I think that to me, the most interesting, the most enjoyable part of this, the richest part was Cal and Marin on Jeddah for sure. I love the reunion and the deepening and the development of their relationship. I think Jeddah might be my favorite planet in this game. I think just the interiors, the exteriors, the attention to detail, the sense of scale and grandeur that this map imparts on you as a player, even just watching these playthroughs, these cutscenes. It's really incredible. And it's one of the things that I really like, that I really love about this game. Very excited for where we go next with the story, picking up. We're starting to get the ball rolling, pick up the pace a lot. The plot's starting to thicken up. Yeah, only positive things from me for this. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I also quite enjoyed this segment of Jedi Survivor. Again, as I said at the beginning, we're finishing up that Act 1, getting into, as Jacob said, the thick of the plot, thick of the story, where some real revelations are about to happen. But I think that's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us everywhere on all podcast platforms. You can follow us everywhere at In a Galaxy Pod. You can find me everywhere at my Linktree, linktr.e/_OGFan327. Hopefully by this time, another Epic Confrontations will be out or on its way. Tommy Two Horns versus Delusions of Grandeur. I'm not exactly sure. And I think, until next time, may the Force be with you.
Always.